One of the most important things you can do when starting a new comic project is establish the vision that you want for the comic. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, without vision, the people perish. And I believe that can be true for our comic projects as well. Without vision, I feel like sometimes that leaves the comic less interesting. There's a term sometimes people use where they'll say a project is uninspired, and I feel like that's kind of what they're talking about often when they say such things. It means that it doesn't have a clear vision. It doesn't seem like there's excitement behind it. In some way, shape, or form. It's kind of an ambiguous concept. It's kind of hard to put your finger on, but there's something to vision, and I do think it's important. And I do think without a vision, your project may lose some steam. There's a lot of different motivations we go into when we create comics, and I think having a good vision for it will definitely be helpful. There are many important aspects to the vision for your comic. A lot of different elements. One would be the visual. Obviously, the visual, the vision. I mean, vision is more of a concept and idea, but there's also an actual visual, element, obviously, to comics, and that's something to think about. What is this, comic specifically like? What kind of style do you want to approach it with visually? I mean, obviously you probably will draw, if you're an artist, or whoever your artist is will draw in their own style for sure. And maybe if you're a writer looking for an artist, you want to think about what do you want the visuals to look like? All right, now let me go find an artist who can do something somewhere in the ballpark of that, but also if you are the artist, you can still do your style, but maybe you want to do like a more dark noir version of your style, or maybe you want to do something that's more fun and goofy looking, cartoony. There's all kinds of different ways to approach this, so that's something to think about. Also, what is the mood that you're trying to convey in general? The overarching mood, obviously, throughout a comic story, there could be all kinds of different moods. But, Lord of the Rings is a long story, but that has different moods in it and different flavors throughout the story. But it does also have an overarching general fantasy mood. I don't know that I can describe it here, but I think you know what I mean. Same thing as Harry Potter. Harry Potter is kind of similar to Lord of the Rings in the fantasy magical realm, but it also has a bit of a different mood. There's a more innocence to it, a childlike fun to it. Whereas maybe Lord of the Rings is a little more heavy and serious, but still there's fun in it, So that's just an example. Another thing is gathering inspiration for your vision. Gathering, this is where you may be like, and reference as well. Like you may be like, oh man, I love Star Wars, or I love, whatever it is that you're into, One Punch Man, it could be anything. I want to make my own version of that. Like I did that one time when I made a comic that was for the Life and Space anthology for 100 Days of Making Comics. And I basically did my own kind of goofy version of Star Wars, more with creatures that were less humanoid creatures, and that was, the aspect I took in that time, but you might, you can kind of think of things that you like and say, okay, I'm going to make my version of this. Or you can also take like, okay, I want to do like this kind of style, but with this, take this and this and mix it together, and then that's what I'm kind of aiming for. So hopefully that makes sense. So, and another thing is genre, and like, what genre is it in? And are you blending genres? And these aren't like set in stone things. A vision isn't necessarily a set in stone thing. But it can help, with kind of crafting your story and crafting the art and the comic book as a whole. And if you're working with a team, it's good to set some of these things up right from the beginning, so that you all have a target you're reaching for. So a genre, or sometimes blending genres, is a cool way to go as well. And, like I said, the vision doesn't have to be perfect from the outset, but it does provide a target to push towards. And I think that is a huge part of the benefit of having a vision for your comics, for the comic you're trying to make. So I would like to ask you, what is your vision for your comic? And what are some of the other elements that you think of when creating a vision? I mentioned visual, mood, gathering reference, genres and genre blending, but there's other things you could think of as well. Maybe characterization, dialogue, all kinds of different things, personalities. Maybe you want to take a character that you like from one show and see what would happen if you mixed it with had them come into contact with a character from a movie that you like or something, and now you create your own version of those personalities and go from there. That could be your vision. It could be just a simple seed of something, and it could be a big overarching extravagant vision. Either way, do your thing. If you're interested in following me on my journey and my vision for what I'm creating, you can check out my Instagram at Marsh Makes Comics, and also go to donkeyjawprojects.com, sign up for the email newsletter, and I will be expressing more of that in those newsletters. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you on the next one. Later.